Hi, my name is Ron Moore, and I'm here today to talk about spinal cord injury rehabilitation with you. A little bit about me. I was a patient at Kessler back in 1994, so about 26 years ago. I sustained a C6 spinal cord injury in a fall when I broke my neck. So I'm paralyzed from the upper chest down to my feet, and my hands are paralyzed as well. So um, this is the introduction to spinal cord injury, and we will go on to the next slide. So this is an introduction to the class series. So this class series will help you to understand spinal cord injury and the goals of rehab, help you to communicate with your team, and also help you to identify actions you can take to promote your recovery. So the class series topics are Introduction to Spinal Cord Injury, which is me today, then bowel care, bladder care, skin care, and transition to home. So what is spinal cord injury? It's a question I asked myself after my spinal cord injury because quite honestly, I didn't even know I had a spinal cord until I had my injury. So, what is the spinal cord? Well, the spinal cord is a bundle of nerves that connects your brain and your body. So, all movement messages go from your brain out to your body, and all sensation goes from your body up to your brain. So, I like to think of the spinal cord as a superhighway, and these messages are constantly speeding back and forth from the body to the brain and the brain to the body. And the spinal cord is protected by your spine or all those hard vertebrae in your spine. Excuse me. So, what does the spinal cord help to control? Well, it helps to control all the movement in your body, helps to control all sensation, so the ability to feel touch, pain, and temperature. It helps to control bowel and bladder emptying, all your sexual responses, and then also functions that happen without you thinking about them, like your blood pressure or your heartbeat. So, how are types of spinal cord injuries described? Well, first, they're described by level, such as how high, and they're also described by completeness, such as how much of your body has been affected by the spinal cord injury in terms of movement and sensation. So we have the level of injuries are tetraplegia, which is a neck level injury that affects the arms, hands, torso, legs, and feet. And that's the type of injury I have, tetraplegia, because it's in the lower neck area. And then many people have heard the term paraplegia, which is an injury below the neck that affects the torso, the legs, and the feet. So when we talk about level of injury, there are four sections in the spine. So in the neck area or the cervical area, they're denoted by the letter C when we talk about spinal cord injury. In the thoracic area, which would be all in the trunk area of your body, they're denoted by the letter T. The lumbar area in your lower back is denoted by the letter L. And then in the sacral area, which is where we sit, is denoted by the letter S. And the spinal cord has numbers. So each vertebrae has a number in the cervical area. It's C1 through C7. In the thoracic area, T1 through T12. In the lumbar area, L1 to L5, and in the sacral area, S1 to S5. So we have an example of the C4 injury, which is up there in the neck area. And then we'll go on with another example of T12, which is down in the lower thoracic area. And then when we talk about completeness of injury, describes the amount of feeling or strength that remains below your injury. And something I wondered about when I was a patient, and many other patients have questions about, is when the doctor does the sharp or the dull feeling test on your body. A lot of the times they'll focus a little bit more around the anus area, and they do that testing around there because testing in that area determines the completeness of your injury. So when we talk about completeness, a complete injury as a letter A is denoted by the letter A, and that means there's no sensation or muscle strength present in the lowest part of the cord or the spinal cord. And an incomplete injury is denoted by the letters B, C, or D, and the letter relates to how much function is present below the level of the injury. So some questions you want to ask your rehab team about your injury are, what is my level of injury? What is the completeness of my injury? And has my level or completeness changed over time? Excuse me. So when we talk about recovery and rehabilitation, we talk about what does recovery mean? And recovery is regaining what was lost and learning new ways to do things. So as you go through your therapy and your rehab, just keep your mind open to learning new ways to do things that the therapist or your rehab team suggests that you do. So recovery takes time and everyone is different. So try not to compare yourself to anyone else in the gym or where they are at any point in their rehab, because you're different from everyone else and your injury is going to be different, and the way you progress in your rehab is going to be different. So inpatient rehab is the start. It's not the end of your recovery or your rehab. And adapting to where you are now is part of recovery. And I like to think as rehab not being the end. When I'm home and a lot of things that I do every day, I consider that rehab when I'm home. So what is the purpose of inpatient rehab? It's to begin your recovery. It's to teach you skills to stay healthy, to get you home safely, and to prepare you for the next phase of rehab. Questions you want to ask your team about recovery and rehab are, what are the goals for my rehabilitation? How much progress have I made towards these goals? And what are the next steps after inpatient rehab? And also be aware that the therapist in rehab would be open for suggestions that you might have about your goals and how you want to attain those goals. And also your doctor would be open to suggestions. And once you give them, the whole team will get together and talk to you about the goals that you have in mind or how you want to attain them. So taking control is very important in your rehab. And remember that you do have power, um, and it's normal to feel overwhelmed. And I relate a story of when I first got to Kessler, and I was so busy that for the first couple of days, even when I was at the sink, I didn't look at myself in the mirror. But once I did, I realized that my eyes were wide open. And then I realized for the past 3 days while I was in rehab or around Kessler, my eyes were wide open because I was so overwhelmed. Um, Eventually, after I realized that, I calmed myself down, um, and I was able to really start to take part in my rehab. So it's definitely normal to feel overwhelmed. And you do have the power to take action. As I suggested, you can be part of your rehab and taking and giving suggestions about your goals, and how you want to attain them. So make sure you're open to new ways of doing things. And remember, recovery is a process. It takes time. Um, so be patient with yourself and how your body heals, and be patient with the process and make sure you're part of the process. Um, Learning to do things in new ways is part of recovery, and small goals contribute to larger ones. And I remember when I was in rehab and the therapist asked me to pick up these nuts and bolts and put them in a bucket. And then I was doing a lot of transferring back and forth at Kessler, and I was wondering why I was doing these things. But once I got home and I started to put together smaller goals at home that I wanted to attain, I realized why I was doing all the things I was doing in rehab and how they were helping me attain these goals. So in small goals, I like to relate the story of once I got home and I got used to being home, excuse me, and I realized that I wanted to go to school to get a degree in psychology. And I started out with taking one class a semester, and then two, and then three. Um, and all these little goals helped me to get to school, helped me to handle my books in school, and do a lot of the things that you need to do at school. Um, and these small goals contributed to the larger goal eventually of me getting a degree, undergraduate degree in psychology. And I'm currently working towards a graduate degree many years later. But these smaller goals can definitely contribute to larger ones. And your goals may be different than mine, but remember that you can attain those goals with smaller goals to start with. So make your health a priority is very, very important because spinal cord injury places you at risk for health problems. Um, and learning to prevent complications is very important because complications will make you too sick for your therapy, will exclude you from research studies, and also make life more difficult. And I want to share my experience in this area with you. I was about at 23 or 24 years after spinal cord injury, and I didn't have any health problems. And I thought I had everything figured out. And then one day, my aide told me I had a red mark on my backside. And I had red marks before, and I didn't really pay any attention because the red marks before that went away on their own. And it was kind of hidden in an area of my body that you really had to look for it. So I didn't pay attention to it. And before I knew it, the aide checked it again like a week later, and it had grown from a little red mark to stage 3, which is down to the muscle. And by the time a doctor really looked at it, it had gone to a stage 4, which was all the way down to my bone, and it got infected. So I needed 2 surgeries to eventually heal up the pressure wound. And I stayed in bed for approximately a year. And then it took me another 2 or 3 months to get back my strength to where I was before. So a pressure injury is one part of one of those health conditions that if you have one at Kessler, you attain one at Kessler, is going to make you too sick for your therapy, and it's going to make your life more difficult because one of the treatments for a pressure wound on your backside is to stay off it. So you're going to have to stay in bed. So you really want to watch out for pressure wounds. And one of those things that you learn is weight shifts. And they may not seem like a big deal, but it's very, very important to do your weight shifts because they will stave off pressure wounds. And also exclude you from research studies, which I think are very important. And I've always taken part in them, even when I was a patient at Kessler and got out, because not only did they help me and that I was taking part in new science geared towards spinal cord injury, it just made me feel good that I can help others. Also, in making your health your priority, remember that you have the power to prevent the problems, which I talked a little bit about, but your team is going to teach you the skills. So talk to your team about the skills that you can learn if you're wondering about them, but they will teach you as you go along, even if you don't ask about them. But if you feel you want to, you can definitely ask about them. And also, you want to come to class to learn more. The classes are very important because they're going to teach you more than what I teach you here. You're going to learn about bowel, bladder, skin care, and then getting home. So you want to be a good observer. Again, every person is different, and you are the expert on you. So while your team knows what's going on outside of your body and what they can see, you want to listen to your body and what your body is telling you. And you want to tell your rehab team how and what you're feeling. Because while they know what's going on with the outside of your body, they don't know what's going on with the inside of your body, and they can't see that. So if you're getting feelings or sensations, or you're getting headaches, bad headaches that come and go, you want to report that to your team because they can't see that you have a bad headache or something's going on in your body. And by reporting that to your team, you're going to help them to help you figure out what's going on with your body, and they can address those feelings or headaches that you're having. And you want to use your voice to share your goals and priorities that I talked about earlier. And remember, no question is stupid, so make sure you ask. And learn to direct others in your care, which is very important. And as you go along in your rehab, your team is going to tell you ways to direct others and tell you ways to take care of yourself. So you want to be open to what they're telling you and learn those things. Because in directing others, you're going to be able to tell them how to care for you in a way that you're not harmed or injured, which is very important. And you want to participate in rehab, work with your team, talk to them about what you're doing in therapy, ask them how it's addressing your rehab, how it's addressing your strength in your therapy, and then try out different equipment. If you see a piece of equipment or an exercise someone else is doing, ask your therapist about it, and your therapist will talk to your doctor, and together they will make a decision about the equipment that you might have an interest in. And also, you want to make sure that you take notes. And while back in the day when I was at Kessler, you took notes with a pen or a pencil on paper. Today we have phones, so you can record your notes right on your phone, or you can record right when your therapist or your doctor is telling you about what's going on with your body, or things that you want to note or jot down. But, just as a courtesy, let them know that you're going to be recording them or their voice. They won't, I'm pretty sure they won't mind, but just as a courtesy, make sure you let them know what you're doing. And you want to take advantage of special programs. And special programs at Kessler are peer mentoring, which I was taking part in, which really helped make me feel good because I was giving back. Then we have the caregiver corner at Kessler, recreation and community activities you could look for online or ask about at Kessler, excuse me. And then research studies, as I talked about, were important to me. And research assistants will come around to your room at Kessler and talk to you about the research studies that are available. So look out for them if you haven't seen them already. And they are part of actually the series, education series at Kessler. And then opportunities for additional therapy. So you want to ask your doctor or your therapist about these. You want to build a network, encourage family and friends to participate in what they can at Kessler and in your rehab, and identify team members you can contact after you're discharged. And I want you to remember that no matter how long you've been away from Kessler, that they're always open to speak to you about questions that you may have. So make sure you call them or email them to ask them about whatever you have on your mind. And then once you're home and you feel you're ready, join the peer program, which is a great program at Kessler, and learn about spinal cord injury organizations. Two of them here are United Spinal Association and the Christopher and Dana Reeves Foundation. And they have a lot of resources at their office. They have books, they have DVDs, and I'm sure they have other electronic media that you could take out or you could access via their website. And I've used their library, which is extensive, and it's all related to spinal cord injury. So remember, doing things in new ways is part of recovery. Keep an open mind. Recovery is a process. Be patient with yourself and how your injury progresses and your rehab progresses. Remember that you have power, so take part in rehab, and you are not alone. You have your whole rehab team to help you and to address any questions or concerns you may have. So resources, there's a Yes You Can book. It comes in a book form or hard copy form. It's not available right now. They're on back order because of COVID. They stopped producing them because they shut down the factory that produces them, but they're on back order. But you can get them via electronic media on the Paralyzed Veterans of America website, and they're the ones who produce this. So here it is right here. Yes, you can. The link is at the top. Remember that you can get these slides either electronically or printed out for you as a hard copy. So what you do, you can go to the website and you can go down to the bottom and you can see the yes, you can. Download PDF is right here. And you can also get free applications or free EPUBs, as they call them, on the PVA website. And you can download them right there. So the SCI Model Systems Knowledge Translation Center is a great resource that I've used many times. And they have these great printouts or electronic media that you can get that's all related to spinal cord injury in different areas of spinal cord injury. So that's down at the bottom right here on the slide. And then the United Spinal Association I mentioned earlier is also a great resource. If you join, you can get either a hard copy or an electronic copy of the new Mobility magazine, which is great. I get it every month. And remember that joining United Spinal Association is free. So go to their website, join up, and they're a great resource, as I mentioned, for spinal cord injury. And then we have Managing Medical Complications After Spinal Cord Injury. It comes in DVD form, but it's also available on YouTube. And it's produced by the Kessler Foundation and Kessler, which is also, the two of them are part of this education series. And then also it's supported by a grant from the Craig H. Nielsen Foundation. And the link for this for YouTube is down here at the bottom right of the slide. And then if you ever have any questions, remember you have your whole rehab team to answer those questions and a lot of links and phone numbers right here. So they're available to you. And I thank you for joining me here today to learn about spinal cord injury and an introduction to the spinal cord injury. So please take part in the other slides that are available in the other areas of spinal cord injury.